Take Action Real Estate Podcast, episode 32.
32.
The Tire House.
Grove City, Ohio.
Welcome, everybody, to the Take Action Real Estate Podcast. I'm your host, John Horner, here with Brian Reitler. We are excited to share our knowledge and experience with you. We're here in Columbus, Ohio. We're doing flips. We got a rental portfolio. We enjoy what we do, and we enjoy kind of sharing with you. Today, we're going to be doing we'll be getting into a deal that we did last year and kind of go through the entire marketing and rehab of that. But first, Brian, how are you doing on this beautiful Friday?
I'm loving Friday. It's the end to just a really fantastic week of some offers on properties and progress on some of the rehabs we got going on. Every week we get a little bit closer to renting out. We've even started having conversations about, hey, when can we actually host like open houses and start really pushing the marketing for renting out this apartment complex. So I'm really excited about that. It's just a great week. Always look forward to the end of the week to unwind a little bit. But how about you? How are you doing?
I'm doing great. I woke up extremely motivated today. So we've been talking about marketing for multifamilies in different cities. And I know we've talked about Dayton in the past and didn't turn out fantastic for us, but we kind of want, we want to take this to the next level of the company, and we want to grow. And Columbus it's a fantastic area. It's a fantastic city for real estate, but it's just so tight right now, especially for multifamily, that I think we decided we're going to start trying, to go to other cities, Cincinnati, maybe Dayton, Toledo, Cleveland, Akron, Canton, maybe
Indianapolis.
We both have ties in Fort Wayne, so we might look at some stuff there. But, we're really going to have to kind of focus on, having our boots on the ground, getting, good contacts with agents and contractors and property management companies and things like that. But that's all part of growth, and, it's I think we were both pretty excited about it, talking about it this morning.
It's certainly great conversations. Makes me excited to think about hiring someone to do more of our project management. This is one of the things that's been on my mind at the beginning of this year. Is it's going to be really hard for us to grow exponentially when I'm going house to house, on a $100,000 condo and putting together scopes of work. And so really I need to outsource that part of my work so I can focus on really figuring out what it looks like to buy in other cities and other places. The other thing I really am excited about this week is we paid our staff their quarterly bonus this year, or this weekend, or actually this payday for the last quarter of last year. And I love being able to just share the profits of what we're doing. It helps motivate the staff. It makes this kind of a fun place to work. We got an email from one of our staff thanking us today, and I just appreciate her, being thankful. And she mentioned in there that just a real motivates her to stay focused and work diligently, and which is exactly why we do it. But we want to share in the blessings that we're experiencing too.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, people are the most important part of our business. Our property manager, Darius, says all the time, this isn't, what does he say? It's not about real estate. It's not about houses. It's about people. And yes, we're in real estate. We're buying houses, but it's about dealing with people. It's about dealing with sellers and buyers and tenants and realtors and lenders and insurance agents and title companies and
lawyers and judges.
Yeah, and the list goes on. We implemented this last year, and we just love being able to really bless our employees and make them feel a part of the team. And hopefully it just helps them to strive, and they can see the bigger picture. Our quarterly bonus is straight off of the net profit. So everything that everybody can do to affect that will increase everybody's profit, Brian and my profit, as well as the bonus that our employees are getting. So not to mention job security.
I love it.
So, so getting into this deal, this is a deal. We actually posted on Facebook about it. We called it the Tire House, and it's in Grove City. And it was a great project for us. It was probably one of the nastier houses that we've purchased.
It was rough
on the exterior as well, but it turned out really well. So we're gonna go through kind of the marketing and the rehab on it, and hopefully you can learn something and take something away from it. But so we bought this. This was actually towards the beginning of last year that we purchased it, and it was a 3-level split in Grove City, 3-bed, 1 bath. It had a 1-car garage bay, but it had been converted into kind of a second living room. So,
There was a bathroom in the basement too.
oh, was there?
Yep, a full bath.
I think when we bought it though, there was only like
The shower was there. Maybe the vanity was missing.
I don't think there was a door on there or something.
Yeah.
It was like basically any.
But it was
utility
plumbed. It
room.
was pretty
Okay.
much ready for
Okay.
a good bathroom in the basement.
So 3-bed, 2-bath. My mistake. And so anyway, the seller had they had kind of tenants in there, but I think they were kind of friends too, and they were paying very little or nothing at all. So this seller called us in March from a mailer that we had sent out in January. It was an absentee mailer, about 6,000 names and addresses, and it was in the zip codes that we like. I think most of them were on the south and the west side of Columbus. And this was just a standard letter. So the mailer that we like to use and kind of our bread and butter is it's in an invitation style envelope. So it's smaller than like a business envelope. It has a handwritten font on the front. So it looks like, you're getting an invitation from a friend or something like that. And then when they open it up, the inside is kind of like a professional letter. It's not handwritten letter. It's all typed. And then it has my colored signature, like a blue signature on the bottom. And that's just one of the ones we send. We send out zip letters, which are the ones, they have like the perforated edges on them. We send out postcards. We send out handwritten letters. But this one just happened to be the standard kind of professional letter. And so anyway, he called us in March. This is another kind of common thing. They'll get these mailers and they'll hold on to them for a couple months. We did a deal in Hilliard a couple years ago. And I'd sent this lady letters like 3 years prior to her calling us. And she finally called me and said, hey, I still have all your letters. You sent me 4 of them, and now I'm ready to sell. And we ended up buying it and flipping it and making a profit on it. But, don't get discouraged if you send out a bunch of mailers and you don't hear something right away, because it's something that people will hold on to, and they'll call you when they're ready to sell. So seller came to us in March. And we looked up Zillow estimate was about 170. I think he was looking for about 100. That's the ballpark that he was in. And based on what he thought the condition was, I think we budgeted about $20,000 at that time. And obviously the numbers looked okay. If we paid, around 100, put 20 into it, sold it for 170, we'd be looking pretty good. So
Had that guy been in the house yet?
he had not been in the house for years, probably 5 years or so.
There's one lesson to landlords. Always inspect your properties regularly, because $20K was not the number.
Yeah, we'll get to that. So we sent Josh out, who was our acquisitions manager at the time, and he went through the house, and I remember him calling me on the way back, and he said, oh my gosh, I have never seen a house this dirty before. And there was so much going on with the house that he really had no idea what the rehab number would be. So I called the owner back, and I scheduled another time to go out with my contractor so that he could quote it for us. Went back out, and then I quickly saw what Josh saw on his first visit, and it looked like, the tenants hadn't cleaned in maybe the whole time they had been there, 5 years or so. There was just dirt and grime, and I think there was roaches and all kinds of stuff in the house. So the contractor, he ended up quoting about 30, but then we knew we wanted to do siding, and I think we were going to convert the garage, the old garage, back into an actual garage, and so I think we budgeted about 35 or 40 for the house. And after working backwards, we ended up offering them about $71,000, I believe. So after closing costs and everything, and we used a hard money lender for it, I think we ended up spending about $74 at closing for the property. And the tenants, we didn't want them there anymore. They didn't even have a lease. So we posted a 30-day notice, and luckily they left the house prior to the 30 days, so we didn't have to go through the eviction. We didn't have to spend any more time. Typically if tenants do show up at eviction, they can postpone what do they call it? Not postpone, but get an extension.
Get an extension, yeah.
At least a week or two. And then, you go back then, and then they have an argument, and you never know how the judge is going to see it. Sometimes the judge always seems to try to work it out between tenant and landlord. And if the tenant shows up, I've seen it a dozen times where they'll give the tenant another 2 weeks or 3 weeks or whatever they ask for. So luckily we didn't have to deal with that at all. And once they were out, we went in and started the very enjoyable rehab. And
I remember the first time I went there after everybody was gone. In fact, I even sent our contractor over that does cleanouts for us, and he went over and they cleaned it out. And I would say they were about 95% done while they were cleaning out. He called me. We call this the tire house, and he's like, man, there's 60 tires over here. And that's one of the things that I've never really understood, how people collect tires. That we've bought a number of houses that have, 10, 15, 20 tires, but this one had the most that we've ever had.
I don't know what people are doing with it.
I mean, the shed in the back was full of tires, and, of course, the contractor, he always complains, it's going to cost me $5 a tire. Of course, he's going to charge me $15 a tire to get rid of them, but, so he gets it cleaned out. I go over there. No one's there. I walk. The front door's open. When I get there, there's no one around. The front door's swinging wide open. And I'm just walking in, and I'm like, well, no wonder they left it open. No one's going to, as soon as they walk in, they're going to turn right back out because that smelled horrible. You could see bugs crawling on the walls. It really was, even after we cleaned it out, a really dirty place. So we ended up, first thing I did was I called our exterminator and got him started on his process because these, roaches can stick around for a while. They take several weeks to get rid of. I think we ended up spraying the house 7 to 10 times over the course of the next 8 or so weeks of the rehab. But yeah, we walked through, and they had, like John said earlier, they had converted their garage into living space, and it was done really weird, and it had kind of like an angle on it, like the floor was not level like a garage floor usually isn't. And so we just decided we're going to put this back as a garage. There's plenty of living space in this house. So yeah, we grabbed our other contractor that was going to rehab the house and went to town, tore it out, saw that the framing for the garage was all there, so we didn't have to do any of the framing for the garage door because it was all there behind the drywall that had been put in. They put this really weird chimney off the side and put like a gas burning stove or fireplace. We ripped all that out, and once we ripped that out, we decided, we might as well just do the siding too. And the roof needed done. So we pulled a permit for the roof, the siding, and the windows, and had one guy doing the roof and the siding, and a different contractor did the inside of the house. But we ended up having a little bit of problems clearing the inspection for the final permit on the siding. I remember we finally cleared it the same day, the day of closing. We got Grove City inspector over there, and I actually met him. He'd already been over there once or twice and failed it. And
why did he fail? What did we do wrong on
that? I think that the guy that I hired to do it, one of his lackeys, for lack of a better word, ended up just putting it on and not really taking great care. And, I try to follow up, and we have some contractors that they do okay work, but sometimes their quality lacks. And, it's one of the reasons I get permits, because if I can't see or I don't catch some of the things that they're doing, the corners they're cutting, I've got an inspector to back me up. And, so we just had the inspector. He came through and pointed out several things and said, just fix these things and we'll take care of it. So we ended up, hey, you need to send your guy over there and fix it up and make sure here are the things that need to be done. So, he went over. He's good about doing that. Even if the quality isn't there the first time, they end up fixing it eventually for us. So there was just a whole bunch of stuff on the exterior and the interior. We ended up new kitchens, bath. I think we reconfigured the kitchen and that moved an exterior door a little bit. It's nice that when you're doing siding, you can kind of reconfigure things a little bit if things aren't laid out very well. That gives you just a little bit more freedom. If you're not doing siding, it makes it a little bit challenging to do that. And so we tried to make the kitchen a little bit more functional, and ended up being a great property. I said the bathroom was plumbed downstairs. We ended up not putting the shower back in just because the space was too small. So there was only a half bath. We took it from realistically it wasn't a 2-bath because it was not functional. But we put it as a half bath down in the basement, and I think we spent about $43,000 rehabbing it all told. So our numbers surprisingly were pretty close this time to what we actually spent. And after, then we put it on the market, and we had our real estate agent that works with us list it and start fielding some showings and offers.
I think we listed it at 170, 169.
I think so, yeah.
And we had an offer at 160 pretty quickly, and they loved the house. And what was the request or remedy on that?
What was the request or remedy on that? I think we put it as a half bath down in the basement. I think so, yeah. We ended up being a great property. I said the bathroom was plumbed downstairs. We took it from a half bath. We took it from a 2-bath. I honestly don't remember there being really anything significant. I should have looked it back up before we got on here, but yeah, I don't think there being anything that took more than a few minutes to take care of.
Right.
Because whenever we flip a house, we send our electrician, and typically the people that worry, the things on a remedy that worry people are electrical or major things, and I think we replaced the air conditioning unit there. I think that we definitely placed the roof, and the electric was all looked at and updated. So the major things, we don't usually get hit on those too much because we try to stay on top of those.
Right. I wanted to talk about kind of the lending on that too. So we have quite a few options when it comes to getting funding for these. Sometimes we might have enough in our account after a flip or something to be able to pay for the whole thing. We also have private lenders around town that they'll loan usually 100% of purchase and rehab, and they'll get a first lien on the property. We also use a hard money lender. And this program that they have that we use the most is called their BPO program. And what they do is it saves us on the appraisal. So they just do a BPO and they lend 75% of purchase based on the BPO, as long as the BPO comes in above the purchase price. They give us 75% of the loan. And then we pay for the rehab. Excuse me. And then when we sell it, we pay that money back, and it's a pretty easy program. They also have another program where they will pay for the rehab, or at least part of it, but we have to go through a whole draw process, and we give them a scope of work up front. We have to give them the bids and the quotes and everything, and then they have to send an inspector out. I think they charge us like $50 or $100 every time the inspector goes out to ensure that we did that work, and then we'll get our draw a few days after that. So if we have the money, to pay for the rehab and pay for the 25%, we just use the BPO program because it's much easier than having an inspector come out and doing that whole thing.
Yeah, and they don't do a full appraisal, so it costs a little bit less to get into it. It goes a little bit quicker, so we can close faster. But it's a great program to have. It's kind of like an in-between. It's not. I wouldn't even call it a hard money lender because their interest rates aren't hard money lender-ish. They're a little bit lower than that.
Yeah, so we pay them about 8.5% and 1 point, I think. It just depends. I mean, there's private lenders or hard money lenders that'll loan up 12%, 15% annually, and they might even have. I know there's one in town here that they charge like 3 points and 12% or something. So, the percentage. If you're flipping a house quickly, the percentage isn't as important, but those points they'll hurt.
Yeah,
for sure. And just to explain points, it's basically percentage points that you're paying for the loans. If you have a $100,000 house and they're taking 3 points up front, that's $3,000 right off the top that you're paying. So, if you annualize that over a 3-month flip, that's like an extra, 12% interest?
Yeah.
So if you're paying 12% and 3 points, you're actually paying 24%. So to put it in perspective.
But some of those, for us, that particular program has been really helpful because it's quick. It's not, it's based on the deal. It's not based on us as borrowers. So it's very, very quick, and it's been helpful. It's helped us to grow. So we just make sure that we factor in their numbers and make sure that it still works in the deal.
And so, at the end of the day, I think we cleared about $35,000 profit on this. We probably held it for between 4 and 5 months. And, it was a great project. It's nasty work, but somebody has to do it. And I'm sure the neighbors.
Yeah, I did. I talked to one of the neighbors, and when we were over there, and they said they were so glad someone was fixing up the house because it really was the nasty house on the cul-de-sac. And, bugs transfer, so they move from house to house. If the food dries up in one place, they'll go somewhere else. So I think everybody was really glad that the neighborhood's been increased, and now our house went from the worst to the best looking, and everybody else, maybe there's a little bit of jealousy or bitterness that we are forcing them to do some things on their house now to keep it up at the neighborhood.
I don't think so. I mean, also we're bringing up the value of the neighborhood too. I mean, our house is, it'll be the highest comp now when people go to sell. Maybe not now because it was a few months ago, but definitely improve the value of the other houses around it too.
Yeah, I think the house next door was for sale for like $135. A similar house, And they just didn't understand how we got 160 because they were sitting on the market for days and days and days at 135. And I'm like, well, this is pretty much a brand new house on the inside and out. So
yeah. And we put what, standard fixtures in that house?
yeah,
we didn't do granite.
We
or
didn't do
anything.
granite. We didn't do anything real fancy. We just did, I don't know, you might call it builder grade quality and styling.
Right. Good. Well, there you go. There's the Tire House. Hopefully you guys learned something. Feel free to reach out if you have more questions. We appreciate you listening. If you guys enjoy us, go ahead and leave a review on iTunes. We'd very much appreciate it. What else do we have?
Yeah, I mean, the more that feedback that we get and the reviews we get, the word gets out and more people will hear about us and know about us. So please do take a minute or two and go to iTunes and give us a review. And if you want to get on our mailing list, you can go to our website and submit the form, and we send out emails, and subscribe to our Facebook, and we post there. And just reach out to us if you have any questions or happen to come across a deal that you want to talk about, and see if we partner on it.
Yeah. I mean, we think we agree that networking is extremely important. We've grown our network over the years, and I think that the quickest way to grow is to find people who know more than you do. Or maybe, just know different things and collaborate, and you guys can work together. We had a gentleman who reached out. He's a podcast listener from New York, and he was just getting started here in Columbus, and he happened to be down here. He was interviewing some property managers, and he reached out and asked if he could stop by and meet with us. And, we said, yeah, and he stopped by. We talked for an hour or so. But yeah, feel free to reach out. For our show notes, you can go to Take Action Real Estate Podcast /episode 32. Thanks for joining us.
We'll see you now.